Hello everyone, we're now in Module 10, the Human Development. At the end of this video, you are expected to learn and understand the history of human development, know the rules of trade, industrialization, global governance, aid and philanthropy of human development, learn what are the global flatteners and unflatteners, the history of human development. Human development, improving people's well-being and enlarging their freedoms and opportunities, is the process of human development. It is about having true freedom to choose and decide on who we want to be, what to do, and how to live our lives. The concept of human development was developed by Dr. Mohab ul Haq, a Pakistani economist during 1970s at the World Bank. He possessed that the true purpose of development is to improve people's life. He believed that the measure of GDP, or the gross domestic product, failed to measure the true human progress of well-being. The gross domestic product, or GDP, is a standard measure of the value added created through the production of goods and services in the country during a certain period. As such, it also measured the income earned from that production, or the total amount spent on final goods and service. Here is the example of a gross domestic product. And now, for us to understand more about the concept of human development that was developed by Dr. Mohab ul Haq, a Pakistani economist, I have here a short video.
To put Al-Haq's theories into practice, let's imagine a remote Amazonian village. The members of the village live on a subsistence income, combined with the natural resources the rainforest offers them. They use their money to buy necessities from a nearby town, but are almost self-sufficient. They live in harmony with the surrounding nature. A lumber company strikes a deal with the government that enables them to fell trees on the villagers' land. To compensate the villagers for the loss of the trees, the lumber company agrees to pay the villagers monetary compensation. So, how is the village affected? Now they have more money. Are their lives better? The village elders decide to invest in more permanent housing. But the trees that have been cut down were a beautiful and valuable source of food. As well as eradicating this food source, the absence of trees has made the land more prone to flooding. The soil is being eroded and washed into a nearby river. Over time, this destroys the village's water source. The members of the village must now walk miles to the nearest suitable water source and forage farther away for their food. The standard of living continues to decline. Many of the villagers feel they have no option but to leave their homes and relocate to a nearby town. As a result, they lose their traditional way of life. This analogy demonstrates that the conditions required for human well-being are far more complicated than just material wealth or GDP. The human development approach seeks to account for the broader impacts on socioeconomic prosperity and look beyond simple calculations based on income. While Al-Haq views income growth as important and even essential, he does not view it as the only means of development for human life.
Trade and industrialization. Industrialization is the process of transforming the economy of a nation or region from a focus on agriculture to a reliance on manufacturing. Mechanized method of mass production are essential component of this transition. Global governance. The global governance the UN Millennium Submitted adopted 8 Millennium Development Goals or MDGs last September of the year 2022. MDGs is a set of time-bound and measurable goals. MDGs did not enlist in economic growth, which means that it is only a means to achieve target of development and not an end in itself. The Millennium Development Goals, or MDGs, involve 8 goals and represent a holistic approach to development with targets in the areas of economic, social, health, education, gender, and the environment. These are eradicate extreme poverty and hunger. It means improving agricultural productivity and incomes, promoting better nutritional practices at all levels and programs that enhance direct and immediate access to food by the neediest. Achieve universal primary education. To achieve this MDG target, countries need to ensure that primary school age children are enrolled and that they complete the full primary years. Number 3. Promote gender equality and empowering women. Gender equality means that men and women have equal power and equal opportunities for financial independence, education, and personal development. Women's empowerment is a critical aspect of achieving gender equality. Number 4. Reduce child mortality. It means to improve complementary feeding for young children. Giving food in addition for breast milk is an important way to prevent undernutrition and reduce child mortality. Number 5. Improve maternal health. It contributes to empowering maternal health through efforts to improve women access to productive resources and income, improve women nutritional status, and empower women to obtain better health care, education, and social services. Number 6. Combat HIV or AIDS, malaria, and other diseases. HIV, malaria, and other diseases have a direct and indirect impact on rural development, agricultural productivity, and food and nutrition security. At the same time, food and nutrition insecurity and malnutrition can increase vulnerability to disease. Number 7. Ensure environmental sustainability is the responsibility to conserve natural resources and protect global ecosystem to support health and well-being now and in the future. Number 8. Develop a global partnership for development. Is the primary multi-stakeholder vehicle for driving development effectiveness to maximize the effectiveness of all forms of cooperation for development for the shared benefits of people, planet, prosperity, and peace.
Aid and philanthropy. Love of humanity is the broad definition of philanthropy. It is where private resources are voluntarily mobilized to meet human needs, alleviate suffering, and take on the systemic challenges that hinder human development. These institutions range from small community foundation to large private and professional grant maker. In order for aid and philanthropy to succeed, it needs an infrastructure or an environment that possess five main features, which are a legal framework that empowers, which means that legal empowerment is the process through which the poor become protected and are enabled to use the law to advance their rights and their interests in relation to the state and the market. Next is a tax structure that provides incentives, which means that individual tax incentives are a prominent form of incentive and includes deduction, exemptions, and credits. Next is an accountability system that builds confidence in philanthropy and civil society, which means that philanthropy translates the private desires of donor into public action aimed at meeting needs. It also unites people to advance shared goals and interests. Next is sufficient institutional capacity to implement effective activities, which means that the capability of an institution to set and achieve social and economical goals through knowledge, skills, system, and institution. Last is enough resources to undertake activities, which means that project resources are components that are necessary for successful project implementation. They include people, equipment, money, time, knowledge, basically anything that you may require from the project planning to the project delivery phases.
First partner is called war has end and country. Components and individual are able to join the economic mainstream. Country that allow connection and trade prosper and increase in independence. Piedmont called the pride of the 19th the new age of creativity because of the opportunity of each individual to access and share information through computer. The second flattener is non-skip going public and is introducing new tools such as web browser and the internet. The third flatteners the extents of a wide range of software standards that allow every individual to do more use their computer. This workflow software of code is the language of computer that makes it possible for the side computer to send, receive, and read data anywhere in the world. The ability to upload information and content from the computer into a network is the fourth flattener. Through open source software like Wikipedia and YouTube, every individual can be an actual contributor or creator of new information. Okay, fifth na. Fifth also is the fifth flattener. Third part subcontracting to cut costs and increase efficiency have been the trend for more and more components. Will it be distribute of service or manufacture products? Outsourcing is choose to be the way to go for companies to perform better and save money. The sixth flatteners is offshoring, sharing when the production plans of a company is moved from one country to another. It is called offshoring. This happens because of several reasons like lower tax or cheaping labor. Seven flatteners. Supply chain is increasing the connection between supplies to relate to consumer. The eight flatteners is ensuring this happens when one company hires another company to handle their supply chain. Nine flatteners is informing it deals with the easy access to obtain information specifically provided by the World Wide through its virtual search engine. A lot of power is placed into the people's hands all with just a click of the mouse. The 10th and final flatteners is called the storage. According to Friedman, there are three types of storage: the ever change trade in computer technology are digital trades. Mobile trade allow your user to work from anywhere, such as wireless internet and personal studies when invention are cheap and small enough to be utilized by individual. Global flatteners and unflatteners. The word is flat, a brief history of the 21st century, a book by Thomas Friedman, 2007, whereas process and emphasize that though to certain event and development is world is becoming flat.
According to the expert, there are also seven unflatteners, which does not make the world flat or that which creates an imbalance. These are poverty, which means that poverty and inequality in the Philippines remains a challenge. Poverty entails more than the lack of income and productive resources to ensure sustainable livelihoods. Next is USA versus world economy, which means that the world is generally dependent on the US dollar, creating an imbalance in world economy. It means also that US has a mixed economy exhibiting characteristic of both capitalism and socialism. Next is half flat world, which means that local government's corruptions persists because it occurs in secret and offenders have confidence in their ability to get away with it, which means that the competitive playing field between industrial and emerging market countries is leveling. Next is Middle East, which means that primary weapon type, primary target type country where the incident occurred, a number of deaths and injuries were collated and result. Terrorism is an act of violence different from other violence, which result a total of 41,837 attacks occurred in the Middle East from 1970 to 2019. Next is digital divide, which means that digital divide creates a division and inequality around access to information and resources, which term that refers to the gap between demographics and regions that have access to modern information and communication technology. Next is suppression, which means that suppression also has negative social consequences, such as reducing access to social support resources, lowering social satisfaction, and harming relationships. Last is tribalization, which means that is a process that almost always includes the creation of enemies. An example for this could be the ongoing tension in the South China Sea. Territorial disputes of countries could trigger wars, and there is a definite imbalances as to who is more technologically advanced in weapon.